Welcome to 30 Seconds or Less, the rapid-fire NFL pick show where I rip through the board each and every week and I give you my favorite pick for the side or the total in 30 seconds or less for every game on the board, with the exception of the primetime games. Those picks can be found on my show, Chasing That Paper, which airs Monday through Friday right here, of course, on the Vegas Insider YouTube page. All right, let's get right into the action here, guys. We're going to start things off with the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm taking them -6.5 points over the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Bengals got better in the offseason, guys. They really improved that offensive line. I think the Burrow and Chase connection will only get stronger. Last 3 games against the Steelers, all double-digit wins for the Bengals. And the Steelers defense is wildly overrated, especially versus the run. And all of a sudden, Steelers fans, you have a very short memory about Mitch Trubisky. Give me the Bengals to roll. Next up, an underdog pick. I'm going to take a shot on the Houston Texans +7.5 over the Colts. So the Colts are 1-11 in their last 12 week 1 games. Silly trend, maybe, but I'll take the Texans to give them a game and keep this one close. Quite a bit of roster turnover for the Colts here in the offseason, so maybe it takes them a while to get going. Maybe they're not incredibly sharp to start the season. Give me the Texans +7.5. Next up, I got the Eagles -3.5 over the Lions. 2 teams getting a lot of hype coming into this season. I think the Eagles are much more worthy of that hype. The Eagles beat the living shit out of other bad teams last season, including a pretty big win in Detroit over the Lions when they won 44-6. Now, they won't beat them that bad, but I do think that they win by 4 quite easily in this game. Next up, I got the Patriots and the Dolphins going under 46.5 points. Good pairing for a low-scoring game here. 2 pretty good defenses combined with run-heavy offenses. What does running the ball do? It sucks that clock. Indeed, both of these teams will be clock suckers in this game. So the Dolphins offense, yes, they should be better. Patriots offense, it looks like they're going to take a step back without Josh McDaniels. Patriots have gone under in 9 of their last 13 games on the road. Next up, give me the Saints -5.5 over the Atlanta Falcons. So an enormous defensive edge for the Saints in this one. They are a top 5 defense in the league. Atlanta is easily a bottom 10 defense in the league. And let's not forget about Jameis Winston. He got off to a great start last year before he got injured. 14 touchdowns to 3 interceptions, led the Saints to a 5-2 start. Then he got injured and was out for the season. Next up, give me the Ravens -6.5 over the New York Jets. So I think the Ravens come out absolutely flying in this game after their season got completely derailed by injuries last year. And they often do come out flying in week 1. Now, they lost in week 1 last season, but check out some of these previous results. 2020, they beat the Browns by 32. 2019, they beat the Dolphins by 49. 2018, they beat the Bills by 44 points. The Jets might be completely fucked here. There will be no Joe Flacco revenge game. Speaking of revenge games, I'm going to take under 42 for this Browns versus Panthers matchup. So I think that this game has potential to be the ugliest game of the week. I think both teams will try to run the ball a lot. And what does running the ball do? It chews up a lot of clock. Both of these defenses pretty good too. Finished last season at 2nd and 3rd in opponent yards per play. Expect both offenses to have trouble moving the ball. Next up, another underdog. I'm going to take the Jaguars +2.5 in Washington versus the Washington football team. I refuse to call them the Commanders. So 2 dog shit teams here. So I'm going to take the dog shit team that is getting the points, especially considering the home favorite has no home field advantage whatsoever. I think Doug Peterson probably knows Carson Wentz better than this Washington coaching staff does. And remember, no Chase Young for the Washington football team. So I think a pretty good shot for Trevor Lawrence to get off to a good start in a sophomore season after an underwhelming rookie season. Next up, give me the 49ers -6.5 in Chicago versus the Bears. So this is the biggest disparity between rosters of any week 1 matchup. And this is an awful spot for Justin Fields here. He's got no offensive line. He's got no one to throw to. He's going up against a defense that was top 5 in points allowed, yards per play allowed, and sacks last season. I also think the game sets up pretty nicely here for Trey Lance to get off to a good start. going up against a Chicago defense that was pretty bad against the pass last season. They had trouble pressuring opposing quarterbacks. Next up, Raiders, Chargers. Give me over 52.5 points. One of the highest totals of the week, but guess what? It's not high enough. Chargers home games last season averaged 56.78 points per game. They come into the season going over in 6 of their last 7 games at home. We saw these teams combine for 67 points in the season finale last year. You probably recall that one. In 2020, they had 2 separate games where they combined for 57 points. Expect another track meet in LA. Next up, another underdog pick. We're going to take a shot on the New York Giants, plus 5.5 in Tennessee versus the Titans. So I think that there's a pretty strong possibility here that the Giants have the coaching edge in this game. When's the last time you could say that about the New York Football Giants? So let's remember what happened to the Titans in week 1 of last season. They got their doors absolutely blown off by the Cardinals at home. They lost 38-13. This is also a Titans team that loses a lot of games that they shouldn't. They lost outright last season to both the Jets and the Texans. So look for the Giants to stack the box in this one and make Ryan Tannehill try to beat them with his arm thrown to a group of mediocre receivers. Giants keep this one close. Next up, I'm going to take the Chiefs minus 5.5 over the Arizona Cardinals. Unlike a lot of teams that lost an elite number 1 receiver, I think the Chiefs actually did a pretty good job filling the void left by Tyreek Hill. They also improved the offensive line. So I expect them to come out absolutely flying versus a Cardinals team that will not be able to keep up without DeAndre Hopkins. They scored fewer than 20 points in 5 of 8 games without Hopkins last season. Almost out of breath, but we got one more pick to go. We're going to wrap things up with the Vikings plus 1.5 at home over the Green Bay Packers. So the Packers are in for a rude awakening in the post-Davante Adams era. Check out this stat. 27.6% of Aaron Rodgers' pass attempts went to Adams over the last 4 years. So I think that there could be a real adjustment period here for the Packers. The Packers defense, I think they're overrated. The Vikings offense, I think that they could be the best in the NFL. Quick recap here. I picked 6 favorites, 4 underdogs, 2 unders, 1 over. Good luck if you're tailing. Bad luck if you're fading. Whoa!